Nice, look, yo, skies crack open like a seal on a scroll. Son of man riding in, fire deep in his soul. Trumpets blast, light flash, angels take posts. Every tongue confess, every knee gets close. From the east to the west, yeah, the signs been shown. Wars and disasters, we ain't never alone. He come not quiet like the lamb that was slain. This time, he roars like a lion in rain. He's the Alpha, Omega, first and the last. He spoke it in the word, now it's coming to pass. The king with a crown and a sword in his mouth. Judgment on deck, truth breaking out. The king is back, skies on fire, coming down with heavenly choirs. Every heart gon' feel that shake when the Son of God steps in and breaks the fake. He's coming, not to preach but reign, washing all sin like a holy rain. Light in the dark, the truth displayed. Jesus returning at the end of days. 7 seals broke, now the scroll unfolds. Beasts try to rise, but the lamb takes hold. Mark of the righteous, written in flame. He know his sheep, yeah, he call them by name. The earth gon' tremble, the stars gon' fall, but his love still stands out, lasting it all. He come with justice, eyes like fire, feet like bronze, and a voice much higher. Ain't no fear if you walk in the light, but for the wicked, yeah, it's judgment night. New heaven, new earth, no more pain. He wipes all tears, forever we reign. The king is back, skies on fire, coming down with heavenly choirs. Every heart gon' feel that shit when the Son of God steps in and breaks the fake. He's coming, not to preach but reign, washing all sin like a holy rain. Light in the dark, the truth displayed. Jesus returning at the end of days. No more lies, no more chains, no more death, no more flames. Saints rise up, grave can't hold. We alive in Christ, streets paved in gold. So keep that oil, keep that flame, watch the skies call his name. Time ain't promised, truth don't bend, he's coming soon, this ain't the end. The king is back, skies on fire, coming down with heavenly choirs. Every heart gon' feel that shit when the Son of God steps in and breaks the fake. He's coming, not to preach but reign, washing all sin like a holy rain. Light in the dark, the truth displayed. Jesus returning at the end of days. No more lies, no more chains, no more death, no more flames. Saints rise up, grave can't hold. We alive in Christ, streets paved in gold. So keep that oil, keep that flame, watch the skies, call his name. Time ain't promised, truth don't bend, he's coming soon, this ain't the end.
Turin is a centuries-old linen cloth that bears the faint image of a man who appears to have suffered crucifixion wounds. It's traditionally believed by many Christians to be the burial cloth of Jesus of Nazareth. The shroud is kept in Cathedral of St. John the Baptist of Turin, Italy. The image on the shroud is mysterious. No clear explanation exists for how it was formed. Radiocarbon dating conducted in 1988 dated the cloth to the 13th or 14th century, suggesting it might be a medieval forgery. However, some researchers dispute those results, citing possible contamination or issues with the samples tested. More recently, some evidence is coming out that they pretty much have been able to prove it's over 2,000 years old and comes from the region that Jesus was in. So let's take a closer look here, guys.
Perhaps no religious artifact on planet Earth creates as much fascination and controversy as the Shroud of Turin. Is this the real burial cloth of Jesus of Nazareth? Well, Dr. Jeremiah Johnston, an expert on the shroud, believes the evidence for it is now beyond all doubt. So, my friend, that is a huge statement. Why do you believe that?
Well, it's great to be with you, Raj, on CBN News. I believe that based on the evidence, 102 scientific disciplines have spent over 600,000 hours of scientific study on the Shroud of Turin. And the great majority of them have concluded the shroud is indeed 2,000 years old. And based on my biblical scholarship, I can assure you that no one was crucified the way Jesus of Nazareth was crucified on April 3rd, AD 33. We know the exact date. It's the best established fact of the ancient world. And so, based on this,
All right, so a quick history of basically the Shroud of Turin and where they believe it came from and where it originated. So, from 30 to 33 AD, traditional belief holds this is when Jesus of Nazareth was crucified and buried. Some claim the shroud dates from this time. Then later on in the 6th century, a cloth with an image of a man begins to appear in Eastern Christian art, though it is unclear if this refers to the shroud. Fast forward to 1354. The shroud publicly appears in historical records in Liry, France. It is displayed by the family of Geoffroy de Charnay. And then in 1389, the Bishop of Troyes declares the cloth a forgery and claims the image was man-made. 1453, the House of Savoy acquires the shroud and moves it to various locations over the years. 1578, the shroud is transferred to Turin, Italy, where it has remained ever since. 1898, Italian photographer Secondo Pia takes the first photographs of the shroud. The negative reveals a more lifelike image, sparking renewed interest. 1978, the Shroud of Turin Research Project, or STURP, a team of scientists conducts an in-depth analysis. They find no evidence of paint or any artificial image creation. The best they can determine is some very intense light source happened, and it basically burned his image onto the cloth. It's what they believe it was some type of intense light source. 1988, radiocarbon dating by labs in Oxford, Zurich, and Arizona dates the cloth to 1260 to 1390 AD, suggesting it's a medieval artifact. 2002, the shroud undergoes restoration and new conservation measures. And that brings us to present. Some scientists and believers question the carbon dating, suggesting contamination or flawed methodology. The shroud remains an object of both scientific inquiry and religious devotion. And then here recently, within this year, I'm starting to see that they've been able to date it back over 2,000 years, and that the pollen they found on it comes from the region of the Middle East, specifically right there in Israel. So let's take a little bit deeper look into the shroud, guys.
this is the helmet of thorns.
Yes. So I had heard, I remember reading or hearing at some point that actually it's like 3D, or not just 3D, but it's, it goes around the whole head.
The whole head.
And is really like a helmet.
Like a cap, a helmet. And so what do we see the correspondence with? These are 3-inch Bethlehem thorns. When they dry, they're as sharp as nails. I'm going to say to you what I said to my triplet boys here. Try to prick your finger on the end of one.
Right.
You can see.
I just did.
This crown of thorns, the Gospel of Mark, which is the earliest gospel, it says, and the Romans fashioned a crown of thorns and placed it on his head to humiliate him. This is the King of the Jews. They placed this on his head, and what do we see on the shroud? 50 puncture wounds in the scalp. It would have caused profuse bleeding. And so when he goes, Ecce homo, behold the man. You can imagine, crown of thorns, blood-stained. The scene would have been incomprehensible.
It also just occurs to me looking at this, for people who will find it unfamiliar.
Oh man, looking at that crown, oh my goodness. That crown right there just shows how much more suffering, how much worse the suffering was with that crown than the one we're always shown in pictures. Oh, man. Yeah, that's hard to even think about, guys.
Wounds in the scalp. It would have caused profuse bleeding. And so when he goes, Etcho homo, behold the man. You can imagine, crown of thorns, blood stained. The scene would have been incomprehensible.
It also just occurs to me looking at this, for people who will find it unfamiliar, that's not what the crown of thorns looks like. This is what an actual crown looks like.
Exactly.
Actual crowns are not headbands.
Right.
If you've ever seen like the crown of St. Stephen, or
Yes.
whatever, a crown in the UK,
Thank
they
you.
look like this.
Yes.
They cover your whole head. Huh.
And isn't that fascinating? This is what leaves it beyond all doubt to me. Speaking from a historical scholar's perspective.
Which that would make more sense, and that crown would line up more with the image we're shown on the actual shroud itself.
It could not be anyone other than Jesus of Nazareth. My friend Bruno Barberis, who I will be with in just a few weeks in Turin, Italy, has assigned a probability to, is this anyone other than Jesus? And he's published his findings. Again, not a preacher, not a priest. He's a mathematician at University of Turin. The probability the man of the shroud, according to mathematician Bruno Barberis, is anyone other than Jesus is 1 in 200 billion. So I guess there's still a chance for the skeptics.
Yeah, it is. So you're saying there's a chance.
Yes.
But the connection being that the wounds from this particular crown of thorns match the man of the shroud in a way that, a little laurel wreath or something wouldn't have.
And leaves it beyond all doubt it's anyone other than Jesus of Nazareth.
Because the other guys didn't get this.
No, no one did that we know. We know of one in history who was crucified. This is one of one. Utterly unique.
Well, we heard it out of his own mouth. Utterly unique. I mean, it leaves little doubt of who that is on the shroud there, guys.
Yeah, it literally has
never,
the image of Jesus burned into it somehow or another.
I never looked into it. I just figured it was fake. But listening to you and Mel Gibson talk about it, I'm like,
it's
what?
real?
Is there?
Well, apparently it's a lot older than they assumed when they did the first testing. And one of the problems is that there's cross-contamination. There's also been repairs to it. But they did subsequent testing, and they found that it was like 2,000 plus years old.
Yeah, and the one thing.
Silence fell, a whisper deep where shadows dwell, but left behind in woven thread, a face of pain, a man long dead. O shroud of Turin, veil of time, you hold the face of the divine. Through blood and cloth, through fire and flame, you bear the trace, you speak his name. They say the lashes, thorny crown, were captured when they laid him down. A canvas not by human hand, yet printed like a sacred brand. O shroud of Turin, veil of time, you hold the face of the divine. Through blood and cloth, through fire and flame, you bear the trace, you speak his name. Is it miracle or tale once told? A trick of light, a myth of old. Still pilgrims kneel and skeptics stare, a mystery hanging in the air. The threads grow old, the linen fades, but still the image never sways. And every fold and every stain is marked with love and marked with pain. Oh, shroud of Turin, veil of time, you hold the ghost of the